Yes guys, and welcome to a different video where we're basically going to review the Premier League after 3 games, or only 2 obviously for Luton and Burnley because they didn't play at home because the stadium's still being built or adjusted for the Premier League restrictions. Anyway, yeah boys, I've watched quite a lot of football recently, so I want to give you a quick rundown of where I think people are doing well, not doing well, and are there some alarming signs to come. Anyway, let's get into the Premier League table. Starting at the bottom, Everton. I said they'd get relegated. I still think they're going to get relegated. They're playing okay football. It's not great. They've not got great squad depth. The second they're making subs, the players aren't great. I think they're getting relegated. Luton, bless their heart, I think they're getting relegated as well. Burnley, I think Burnley are playing good football. They need to get a lot of home wins. That's the issue. They need the home wins to start getting some points rolling. I don't think they're in too much jeopardy just yet. Obviously, they have the game against Luton in hand as well. So although they're sitting 19th and 18th, technically they have got a game against each other in hand. Sheffield United, obviously, they've lost 3 in a row. My relegation, by the way, was Everton, Luton and Sheffield United. Not in that order. It was Luton, Sheffield United, Everton. Yeah, I do think Sheffield United are probably going down. Although they did get a goal, and they have got a couple of goals. So they're not playing awfully. And it's probably a little bit of an unfair reflection of where they are. But at the same time, every single team, when you look above them, are going to do better. So I do think they do get relegated. Bournemouth are playing well, but not great. It's been an interesting one for Bournemouth, but they did get a draw, so you can't complain. They probably now lose, though, their next fixture to Brentford away as well, so it's not looking great for them. Wolves, an incredible, I mean, it is Everton, so they needed to get a win under their belt. I do think they're 15th at the moment. They are going to be relegation battlers. They're playing interesting football. You know, they lost to United. They should have and could have easily won that game. The loss to Brighton. Brighton are just one of the best teams in the league. Or they lost to West Ham, but we'll get onto that. Yeah, and then they lost. They beat Everton away, which is a big result because Everton need to get results at home. But I just think Everton stink so bad. They just played better football. Nottingham Forest. They beat Sheffield United as they should. They then lost to United. Controversial, some of the calls in that one. Very controversial. Rashford's penalty. Is it a penalty? I don't think so. But I can see why it's been given. But it looks like Rashford's like almost put his leg out into him to then get the foul. But anyway, we move, boys. We move. We're not going to touch that controversy. And the 2-1 to Arsenal, we basically ran the game. They did get a goal, but they were never going to win the game. So it is what it is. Newcastle. I feel bad for Newcastle, right? Because they battered Aston Villa, who have then gone on to play very, very well. They lost to City. That was a close game, but they never really were in the running to win it. And then they've lost to Liverpool in a game where they dominated for 70 minutes. Then there was like 10 minutes of jeopardy and then 10 minutes where Darwin Núñez just ruined their lives. So yeah, Darwin Núñez absolutely ruined it. They're probably going to lose away to Brighton because Brighton are playing incredible. But you never know. Maybe this will be the stepping stone. This will be the comeback game they need. But yeah, it's been interesting for Newcastle. Fulham, I can't believe we drew against them. But anyway, yet again, they beat Everton away. Everton's just not that strong. They lost to Brentford, so they should be. And then they drew with Arsenal, which is embarrassing. We should have beaten them. Both goals, no offence to Ramsdale, both goals are savable goals. Savable goals. And now I can see where Arteta got Raya. I can see it now. I understand it. Chelsea, if you're not watching Chelsea week in, week out, you will not understand how well they're playing football. Like, Chelsea are so good. I forgot about Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, they're okay. They lost to Arsenal. They drew with Brentford. It's just, they're okay, boys. They beat the team they should have beaten. They lost to the team they should have lost to. And then they drew against the game that actually is quite a good result for them. So, fair play to them, but who cares. Chelsea. Played very well against Liverpool for 45. Same as Liverpool. They both played each half. One dominated the other. They lost to West Ham. If you watch that game, boys, I'm not joking. Chelsea looked like they were going to win that game for 70 minutes, and then they lost it again in 30, or in 20, sorry. It's actually crazy how well they played to lose that game. And then finally, I know it was Luton, but all the stars aligned. They played really well and got the result they deserved. It's only a matter of time. They'll probably wipe the floor with Nottingham Forest, and I don't know who's after that. Yeah, it doesn't say. Yeah, Chelsea, honestly, they look like a force to be reckoned with. I know currently they're 10th. My top 4 shout is looking stronger and stronger, boys. And we'll go over why I think that later on in the video. Next, we have Brentford. Draw, win, draw. Drew to Tottenham. That was a good result. Win against Fulham. Easy. And then drew with Crystal Palace. Probably should have won, especially at home, but it is what it is. Man United. Win against Wolves, undeserved. Lost to Tottenham. They dominated for the first half, and I thought, wow, Tottenham are garbage. And then Tottenham just turned it up in the second half and really outplayed them. And then they beat Nottingham Forest, yet again, controversial. Man United have had two very controversial wins. Like, genuinely, they could be sat on 0 points right now, but somehow they're sat on 6. Aston Villa, they got battered first game of the season, and they did get battered. But ever since then, 4-0 and 3-1. Yet again, against teams they should be winning and should be winning well. But it's very good to beat the teams that you should beat well. Because Arsenal, and we'll come on to them shortly, have not won anything convincingly. I'd say we dominated the Nottingham Forest game, but other than that, we should be wiping the floor most teams, and we haven't been. But anyway, we'll get onto that in a minute. Brighton, boys, Brighton looks so good. They look so good. I put them at 8th. I'll be surprised if they don't get Europa League at least. Like, they've played some outrageous football. Yet again, West Ham, who are second, mental, have literally been battered every single game and yet somehow got 3 results. So fair play to them, but we'll get onto that. Brighton, though, look incredible. Arsenal, beat Nottingham Forest. We dominated the game. I know we conceded, which we shouldn't do, but dominated the game. Never looked like we're going to lose it. 1-0 against Crystal Palace. They basically just played 10 players behind the ball constantly, just sat back and defended. We got a good pen, and then they did dominate us for the last 10 minutes because we were bloody fighting for the trenches, and we had a red card, but which also absolutely wasn't a red card. The 2 yellows were so soft for Tomiyasu, but anyway, we move. And the draw to Fulham is just so ropes, boys. It's so ropes. We absolutely should have won that game, but it is what it is. Liverpool, draw to Chelsea, good result. Beat Bournemouth, so they should, and then they literally just beat Newcastle in a game where they got battered for 70 minutes. Obviously, I did just literally talk about this game when Newcastle did it. Battered for 70 minutes, Darwin Núñez come on and won the game. It was genuinely surprising, but fair play. We then come to Tottenham, who drew to Brentford. That was a good result for them. Beat United, yet again, convincingly, and beat Bournemouth, so they should. So, fair play to Tottenham. They're playing well. Ange Ball is working, so respect for them. I know, we hate them, but fair play. I'd rather see them play good football, still, come below Arsenal, than the just dross they've been playing recently. Then we come to West Ham, boys. The draw to Bournemouth, yet again, West Ham looked awful and have played awful. They then beat Chelsea undeservedly, but to be fair, if you're going to counter-attack, play counter-attack football, that is how you do it. And they've done the same thing to Brighton. Brighton had like 80% possession, or maybe even like 82. It was outrageous, the stats. And yet they won the game by the exact same method that they did against Chelsea, which is just counter-attack, loft balls to Antonio. Manchester unit. They try and get rid of him every year, and he just supplies goals. So fair play. They won't be anywhere near second, boys. I imagine their fall off will be quite hard because these lucky wins will start to fall off. But at the moment, fair play. They're getting the result out the back door. And then the only team to win all 3 of their opening games is Manchester City, who have won 3-0 against Burnley, 1-0 against Newcastle, and 2-1 against Sheffield United. Sheffield United, you were so close. Come on, you were so close. And the Newcastle game, they just dominated the ball. It was just fair play. And so they beat Burnley, so they should. So yeah, the next game's Fulham. They'll beat Fulham yet again, so they should. Arsenal should have beaten them. We bottled that. Yeah, boys, that is the table. That's a quick run through the results and the sort of how I've been feeling about it all. We'll now come to sort of my predictions. Relegation is very similar to what I thought it would be. The relegation teams close by, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, sort of Palace. I know it's 11th and downwards. I'm not counting Newcastle. They've played 2 of the hardest teams in the league, Man City and Liverpool. They've now got Brighton, which is arguably another hardest team in the league. But after that, I think they've got a reasonable run of games. So they'll fly up the table soon enough. Don't worry about them. Arsenal, we got United at home. No offence to United. We should absolutely beat them. As long as the right Arsenal turn up, we should basically wipe the floor of them. They've looked very poor for, I'd say, 70 minutes of every single game so far. They've only shone for about 30-odd minutes or 20-odd minutes per game. But, yeah, so we should beat United realistically at home. Will we? I don't know. It's the whole point of football. We don't know these things. But we should. Tottenham should beat Burnley. Are they away, though? Ooh, that's not an easy game. West Ham have you. Genuinely, if Luton are going to get a result, it'll be against West Ham. They're not playing good football, and Luton at home, I don't know if it'll be postponed because I don't know if their stadium's ready. But if the game doesn't get postponed, they could get a result there. Genuinely could. Brighton should beat Newcastle. Liverpool, Aston Villa. They've got some great games next week, boys. Brentford, Bournemouth. Brentford should win that. Chelsea, Nottingham Forest. Chelsea at Walkham. Palace, Wolves, dead, who cares? Man City will beat Fulham. But yes, boys, very interesting, very interesting. Looking at the table and looking at my predictions. So far, obviously, West Ham are massively overperforming. Everyone else is reasonably where they should be. Obviously, you know, we're all on 6 and 7 points, so it's all very similar. Chelsea, a little low, but yet again, they will fly up the table. At the moment, I'm quite heavily, you know, 6 positions out is quite bad. But I predict they will fly up the table. Obviously, the outstanding underperformers right now is Newcastle, but they have played 2 of the best teams in the league, so you cannot really complain. Although, these are the games, boys. This is what I mean by, like, Arsenal drawing to Fulham. Is like, when you want a title charge, boys, that game is a game that they needed to win, and they dominated, and they should have won, and didn't. And they're the ones that cost you in the long run. It really is. But, yeah, and Arsenal drawing to Fulham. Yet again, those results later on in the season, boys, are the ones where you go, oh, if we just beat Fulham at home, like, we should be beating them. That should be 3 points. But it is what it is, boys. Yeah, this has been a quick rundown of the Premier League after 3 games of the season. I think it's just quite interesting to see what your predictions are, like, exactly, and what teams are over or underperforming so far. I'd say everyone is pretty much on point, except West Ham are currently overperforming, and Newcastle had a hard run of games, so I don't really class it as underperforming. And Chelsea are underperforming, but playing very good football, and they'll fly up the table. Well, boys, I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.